Welcome to the Brant and Sherry Oddcast, sponsored by America's Christian Credit Union. To order Brant's latest book, Life is Hard, God is Good, Let's Dance, or to find out more about the show, go to BrantHansen.com.
You know what doesn't make any sense? Besides this show,
you left yourself wide open
I'm like,
for that.
don't. That's why I jumped in and said, besides this show.
Because you knew what the listener was
nip
thinking.
that in the bud. Because I know what you're thinking. You know what else doesn't make any sense? My lack of prayer. And I really mean it. Like, it's a struggle for me. I know there's a lot of people too. Like, you might be listening right now. You're among friends, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But think about it this way. I acknowledge, if I'm a believer in Jesus, if I trust God with my life, I acknowledge I'm dependent on him for everything.
Mm-hmm.
Not praying makes no sense in light of that.
You know, I read something one time that just blew my mind. It was a devotional, and she said, how often do you actually take the thing you're worrying about to God in prayer? And I had to sit and think, you know what? How I work myself up.
Great question.
Into just a frenzy before I even approach it. And that is odd.
Totally.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay. So we talk about this a lot, just so you know, like, well, Brant's always complaining he can't pray. Mm-hmm. Well, I do, and I'm getting better at it. Mm-hmm. But it's been having people point out stuff like that too. Like you just pointed out, like what I had just read where this guy was saying, look, you're all dependent on God. Everything's dependent on him. Mm-hmm. Therefore, not praying makes no sense. Like, this helps me. And we're forgetful people. And people are like, oh, I already knew that. Well, okay, so did I when I was 9. Mm-hmm. But we forget, and we have to go, oh, yeah, that's true. And God is patient with us. Isn't that wonderful? So if you're new to this show, my name is Brant, by the way. Pleased to meet you. High five, whatever.
Fist bump, whatever.
Yeah,
I hug.
Yeah, whatever.
Brant, you can hug Brant, too.
Nope.
Okay.
But all this to say, if you're looking for people, like some people will turn on a radio show if it's a Christian one and say, okay, you guys have to be all inspiring by example. Like you're so awesome, you're so perfect, and then I get to feel bad about myself, but that makes me feel good that I feel bad because sometimes we feel like, oh, good, you know, I'm just not measuring up, and that makes me feel like we're not those people. No. Never will be, because I don't have it together. It's funny too, because it's the most basic stuff. Sometimes I forget. Like I know it, but it slipped my mind, and I have to be reminded all the time. It's silly, but I'm growing up. But at the same time, never going to be that for you. So I just want you to know that in advance.
Well, that's the awesome thing about this is that we get to remind you. You get to remind us. We're all growing.
I hope so. Yeah. And I hope it lets you realize, like, occasionally if you're like, hey, what Brant said or what Sherry said or that whatever that artist said meant something to us. I was listening to the radio and they don't have their act together. And yet God still uses them. Hopefully that to you means God uses me too. And I know my own thoughts. I know I'm broken. I know I'm messed up. I got it. And yet he loves me and he'll still use me. How about that? So we want you to, if you can not like us, it's okay. But we want you to realize that God will use you. In fact, if you are an underdog, you're somebody who's, you realize you're a spiritual mess, that humility forces you into his arms. That's wonderful.
Oh, here we go at the piano.
I'm seated at a piano right now. Hope they can hear it over the air.
Yeah, I'm sure they are.
Can really you hear this over the air? Can you hear?
We can hear. Now,
like
what's not clear,
runs.
Why are you doing this?
Well, hang on just a second. Do this little part. Be nice. Well, I just thought I think it separates our show from other shows.
I would agree.
You'd be doing a live piano thing as I sit here play, 'cause not everybody can do this.
And not everyone will.
No, and not everybody can do it with one hand like I'm doing it right now. So, it's kind of impressive. Anyway, I want to talk about social media. When you get mad on social media, I have one tip, not a list of 10, one tip for you. When you get angry with somebody on social media, somebody posts something politically you don't like, whatever, and you can feel that old, one tip for you.
Okay.
And I'm going to share that with you coming up. So how about that? Right there. Yeah. You may remember, if you've listened to the show much, you may remember that we've said that following Jesus is not easy. It can be simple, but it's not easy. How about this? When somebody does something on Twitter or on Facebook that ticks you off, how about this one tip? Pray the same prayer that Jesus prayed for people when they were killing him. God, please forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. And it may be something that's reprehensible to you. It may be something you're like, you don't understand, Brant, this is a big deal. No, I do. I get it. But what praying that prayer allows you to do, and we've shared this before, but it's worth reminding myself about it and you. What that prayer does is allow you to separate them from the evil. We are told that we're really actually in a battle against evil that's spiritual. Mm-hmm. And that person, though, is still worthy of redemption. That person is still made in God's image. So that helps us to separate, because they think they're justified in putting it up there. Mm-hmm. They're under that perception. Maybe it's false, maybe it's an evil perception, maybe it's wrong. They're fooled, but they actually think they're doing the right thing. So grant them that and pray that prayer, because it's for your own heart's good, if nothing else, because your own heart won't start becoming jaded and angry against people. You'll be able to dissolve that anger and actually love the person even as they're being a jerk. Surely this has happened to you. We call it the awkward jog of gratitude. Mm-hmm. The awkward jog of gratitude is when somebody holds open a door and it's inappropriately far away from where you are. Mm-hmm. So suddenly you feel, even though it's a complete stranger, they have incited you to start running.
Because you don't want them to have to stand there a long time holding the door for you, which you never asked them to hold in the first place. You never asked them to, and they're well-intended, so it's just an awkward thing. It's nothing wrong with them. But you got keys and you're carrying stuff or whatever, and suddenly it may be 98 degrees. Suddenly I'm running. I didn't want to, but I find myself running all of a sudden. And out of gratefulness. Uh-huh. Matthew just tweeted, he said somebody did it to him, but he had to go upstairs. Okay.
He said he was out of breath and all exhausted. So that person made him run up the stairs with all his stuff.
Oh my goodness. So you're down on the first floor and the person is holding the door for you on the second floor.
Yeah, so you have to go.
Come on, get up here. Stairmaster.
You have to labor up the stairs, clinging to the thing. To the banisters.
And then you're breathing heavy and saying,
thank you. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, question for producer Sherry, who has, if you've been listening to the show, you might know that Sherry has a thing about birds, and that's fine.
And it just keeps coming up. Well, that's fascinating.
Because you keep interacting with them. It's like, oh my goodness, there was a bird only 400 yards away in the parking lot, a sparrow. I had to run for my life.
Okay, you had a question?
Okay, anyway, honest question. Growing up watching Sesame Street, how did you feel about Big Bird? Did you feel that he was enough of a bird?
No, I wasn't. I think maybe because he was walking upright and speaking and singing, that I didn't connect him with the birds that I was afraid of.
Right.
Yeah, that's a great question.
This is weird because I didn't like him.
Why?
He scared me.
Why? What was it about him?
I think it's because he was a bird that was upright talking. Isn't that ironic?
It is.
That is highly ironic. The very thing that made you feel good
terrified you.
Scared the daylights out of me. Hey, if you're not a church person, you may not understand this. So let me apologize in advance. You may not get it, but a lot of people who listen they'll understand this. You can be in small groups and churches like, hey, maybe you should go to China. Maybe you should go to Africa. Maybe you should do this, do that. These grand projects. Mm-hmm. Maybe you should. And then what about that? Where's my calling in life? I don't know my calling. I don't know.
You're taking little assessment tests to tell you what your giftings are and all that.
What about this? What about? We make it complex. I'll tell you what your calling is. I'll tell you what it is. We don't want to hear it. Mm-hmm. Love your neighbor as yourself. You already love you. Honestly, you do. Mm. You may not like you, but you do. You take care of you. You're concerned about you. You feed you when you're hungry. You put a jacket on when you're cold. You care for you. We're supposed to care. You're supposed to care for the person next to you. For your neighbor who you don't like, you pray for your neighbor. Mm-hmm. You love your enemies. That person who's driving you crazy at work, you love that person. That's so simple. Again, hard to do, but it's simple to understand. We'd rather complex it up and go, well, maybe I should go to China. Maybe not. No. Maybe so. But right now, where you are, there's work to do right there. You are listening to a radio station and a radio show that offers you many benefits, and one of them is survival tips, because I'm a survivalist, and I'm a survivalist because I'm always thinking about what to do if this happens or that. I've taken into account any possible unfolding scenario.
So you're a survivalist because you've thought of it. You've never
Yes.
had extreme situations that you've survived, but you've thought them through.
Correct.
So how does that make you a survivalist? Because you haven't actually survived anything.
I have survived.
What?
Or I wouldn't be on the air right now. So think about what you're saying, Sherry. Take it, maybe step back and think.
Yeah, take it all into account. Okay, got
See?
it.
Anyway, the point is, they do a show solo someday. The point is, we're going to do survival school up next, and it's going to be so much fun, and you will learn. It's going to be great. Tangie is on the line. We'll do a little role play with Tangie. It's going to be fun.
Survival school. I'm nervous.
Oh, this is so good that you learn, even if it's the hard way. I mean, it's a little role play thing. Imagine that you are at the tallest building in your area, super tall skyscraper.
Yeah.
So you go up in it, and it's a beautiful day, and you're looking around. Oh, it's beautiful up here. And then you get on the elevator, and the elevator starts free falling. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Ah.
This actually might be a real scenario. Usually they're not this
What do you
legitimate.
do?
Okay.
Is my question. Now what? You have 5 seconds, and I actually have the right answer.
Oh boy.
You have 5 seconds. What do you do?
You jump up.
Nope. Nope. Common mistake. Common mistake, Tangie.
You're falling down, so jump
Nope.
up. That
What
makes
you
sense.
do is that won't help.
Okay.
The jumping. People try to time the jump when they hit the bottom. It doesn't help.
Okay, so what should she do?
What you do is you it's all about padding, and there's padding actually underneath the elevator shaft that helps with some of that. But what you want to do is maximize your own padding, so you find the chubbiest part of your body. No, you do. You find the chubbiest part of your body, and you lie on that.
Well, then I should be safe.
Well,
Yeah. So basically, you go eat before you get on the elevator. Just to
could.
make sure you have some extra.
you could. I don't. When I'm in really good shape, I won't get on an elevator for that reason. And if you need help, like turn to each other. Like sometimes there's 4 or 5 people in the elevator. You can turn to each other. Like, quick. What do you think?
What's the chubbiest part of me? As you're free falling. I am so upset with myself because I honestly thought
No, it's
from
true.
the bottom of my heart that this was going to be
This is-
legitimate.
it is.
I thought you had a
It is
legitimate answer to
legitimate.
this.
Survival school is always legitimate. It is legitimate. Good try. Hey, just a reminder, it helps us if you're interested in helping us. If you don't want to help us, then don't worry about it. But
Did I ask you how I can help you? Maybe someone would say that.
yeah,
But,
we like doing this. We don't have a Patreon or anything, but we have sponsors in like America's Christian Credit Union. They can do loans for everything. They
Yeah.
can, like cars. If you're buying a new or used car, you get a great rate. Or like savings accounts, all of that stuff. They have ATM things like 30,000 ATM deals. Like it's full banking services, and what they do with the money is pool it together that otherwise would go into profit or funding who knows what. Like they're actually funding great things, like missions and adoptions and things like that. So
things we believe in.
yeah, I really love that aspect. And again, you're supporting the show too, which would be wonderful if you could do that. If you go to BrantHansen.com, you'll find America's Christian Credit Union. If you scroll down, you'll see it says that, but it's just BrantHansen.com, and then scroll down and find America's Christian Credit Union. That big fight was Friday. There was so much sports going on.
Was it Friday? It was
Saturday.
Saturday.
Sorry.
Yeah. That's okay.
And I wouldn't fight those guys. They each made $100 million or whatever.
But you wouldn't fight them.
Not for $100 million. No, I wouldn't. Not for $500 million. Not for $1 billion.
Oh, Brant, come on. For $1 billion.
Because they would take my life in the ring.
They didn't take each other's lives.
But they're quicker. You see, they're just ripped. Those guys are fast, and the only way I would get in the ring is if like, okay, my wife said it was all right, and then all the money could go to Cure or something.
Okay.
To help
Then
with
you're okay
surgeries.
with getting your face pummeled?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Well, it's
All
good
right.
to have standards and
Good.
boundaries.
And I just want to set that tone. Because you turned on the radio and you're like, hey, I want to know under what circumstances Brant's face will be pummeled with his permission. And there you go.
Now you have your answer.
There's your answer.
So my uncle read your blog during Sunday morning service. My mom called me to tell me.
Really?
He loved it and felt like it was something that people needed to hear. And I do too. Like, you didn't tell me you were posting that. So I was back home and I read it and I was like, oh my goodness.
Good.
And it really was impactful in so many ways.
And I hope we're talking about the same blog.
Wouldn't that be awkward?
Wait, that wasn't your blog. That was
Somebody else.
It was the bump into a tree one?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So I work for Cure now. If you're new listening to this, I work for Cure International, and they run these hospitals around the world, but they have chaplains. They have spiritual directors in the hospitals.
Okay. Yeah.
But one of them had written something about bumping into a tree and you find out what kind of fruit falls. Mm-hmm. And Jesus said, you can know a tree by its fruit. Mm-hmm. And that way, you'll be able to tell. Well, it is true. And this chaplain, I don't know if it was a guy from one of the hospitals in Africa or where he is, but he was pointing out that you don't know until you bump into it and then you see. And a lot of times when things are going great, with me, for instance, it's easy for me to act patient.
Right.
And kind and loving and joyful. But when somebody crosses me, what happens? Now they bumped into me. What happens? Well, that's very instructive. And I think we can say, well, that's just when somebody crosses. No, that's when it counts.
That's your actual character.
Yes.
Is when, that's why I loved when you said bump into a tree instead of shake, because shake is intentional. Bump can be an accident. I didn't mean to do that, or there's a misunderstanding or something. And it's just like naturally, if we're on the street or something and I bump into you, if you turn around like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
That's something that's telling, even though people may say, well, that's just a temporary thing. Or no, it is telling for all of us.
Well, that's the thing, too. We can always say, well, it's just a temporary thing. It's just, we can come up with a million excuses why it doesn't count. Mm-hmm. And we tend to do that. Well, this is an outlier. No, in fact, Jesus is saying in that same context that out of your heart, these words, flow.
Right.
So he's not saying it's an outlier.
Right.
And he's not saying, okay, the first several times, those those don't count. It's true. Here's the other thing too. If you can say, well, that's just a natural reaction to be hostile when somebody cuts me off or something. For a flash, maybe. But after that, it's on me. Right. And to be able to say, well, it's just natural. Yeah, but I'm looking for supernatural.
Yeah, good.
If I'm a believer in God, and I'm saying the fruit of the Spirit is love,
supernatural.
Joy. Yes, it's exactly.
Yeah.
It's supernatural. So it's love, joy, peace, gentleness. Same thing comes to big time religious leaders. Right. Big time pastors, big time whatever. We can look at my fruit, and what they want you to look at is like them as a business entrepreneur. Can't you see that I have 20,000 people in my church? Right. Can't you see that I've got 10,000 people reading my book? Can't you see that look at the fruit that I'm spawning? But actually, somebody can do that without knowing God.
And without the Holy Spirit. You're absolutely right.
You could be a talented person.
Right.
Well, wonderful. You're a talented speaker. Right. That's not the fruit that Jesus is looking for. He never defines it that way. True. The Bible never does. It's always about the love, joy, peace, meekness is one of them. Yeah. Gentleness, self-control. Right. So to have a pastor, for example, a celebrity pastor who's a bully. Well, but look, you can't argue with the results. Yes, I can. Right. Because I can say, well, those are great results. That's neat.
Of natural talent.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the bullying tells me that we've got a problem. That's the actual fruit. Right. But they always want to switch it into, you got to look at the fruit here. Yeah. The thing is, though, and they can say, well, clearly God's been using me. Yeah, God will use, as I mentioned in the blog, he'll use a donkey. Right. And like Rich Mullins said, he's been speaking through jackasses ever since. Right. That doesn't qualify you as something awesome.
It's true. It's true. I hold it for my own standard. Right? I mean, the microphone, the radio, whatever, that's fine. It's me at Walmart. That's the thing.
You have to be honest enough to evaluate that.
Yeah.
Or you're kidding yourself. The good news about this is, start now. If you can say, well, honestly, I don't feel I feel very impatient. Yesterday I got impatient, and I had a friend call me on it. He actually sent me a link to my own blog.
That is a friend. That is a friend. Wow.
Because I was complaining about United Airlines, and I was being delayed for hours, and I was getting impatient. And he said, "Boy, I hope they didn't bump into you." And then he sent me a link. I was like, "Yeah,
that's pretty awesome.
Good point. It's
pretty
valid."
awesome.
It's called a joke factory, and the idea is this: if we crowdsource humor, we should be able to come up with something really hilarious because there's wisdom in the crowd.
Crowdsourcing humor.
That's been shown to be mathematically true, that the crowds, for whatever reason, are able to produce economically viable choices in all sorts of things. They study this. So all that said, here's the challenge. I want to give you some material, and then you make a joke out of it. And hit me with your ideas on my Facebook page. It's just Brant Hansen page on Facebook. Brant Hansen page. And then just write it on the wall if you can come up with a joke. But it's got to be fresh. And so to control the freshness, like I don't want a recycle joke, 2 random things you have to work into your joke. And I picked here just like off the top of my head.
Okay.
Fantasy football and baby squirrels.
Those 2 things together in a joke.
So can you come up with a joke? And maybe your joke isn't awesome, but maybe combined with somebody else's joke.
That's where the crowd comes in.
Yeah.
So you may have the setup, someone else has the punchline.
Right. So you can look on Facebook, see if anybody else has posted something. That may spark something. I don't have any ideas right now.
You don't?
No, but I can think of some.
Okay.
I bet you can too.
Those are 2 kind of difficult things
but to think like, why did the baby squirrels sign up for Fantasy Football League? And then whatever the answer is the funny thing.
Okay, why?
I don't know, but I mean, that's the funny.
All right, there's the setup, guys.
There's the humor.
Insert humor right there.
Why? Okay, 2 baby squirrels were doing their fantasy football draft. And one says to the other, "Hey, why did you take Marshawn Lynch first?" And the second one says something that's really funny.
Okay, again there's your setup, everybody, right?
But I'm basically handing it to you on a silver platter.
We're not going to do all the work for you guys. That's what we're trying to say here. You have to pitch in.
Okay. Maybe it's not a white. Maybe it's, hey, there's these guys and they're playing fantasy football, and this one guy says, "I want Adrian Peterson," and the next guy says, "I'm drafting baby squirrels." Why? Why did he do that? Well, and then the humor.
Again, there, insert humor right there.
Right. So anyway, just go to Brant Hansen page on Facebook, and then I'll take the best one, and we'll give you a prize.
Okay.
And it'll
We
be
have
cool.
prizes now?
I'm going to get some prizes, and we will have them, and we will mail them.
Okay.
And so that's Brant Hansen page on Facebook. Baby squirrels, fantasy football. Do your best. We'll see what happens.
It's going to be very.
I've already basically given it to you.
Yeah, you've handed it. Very, very viable choices there for people to come up with.
So it's all in your hands. We have a big announcement. It is, in fact, a day of awesome.
Yeah.
We have declared it a day of awesome. I've issued a decree, an edict. And here's the thing with this. You just think of something that is awesome but doesn't get the play that it should. Mm-hmm. That's the whole point behind this. So think of something that is awesome. You tell us. Something that is awesome, but a lot of people don't realize it.
I have mine.
Do you? What is it?
Right here.
Okay.
It's popcorn from Target.
Popcorn from Target is incredibly awesome. I think you already used that one before, but...
No, I did not.
Yep.
I never used that before, did I? Well, it's really awesome.
Well, it's awesome again.
We just have to have another one.
Target just keeps doing it. But that's a good example. It really is.
Thank you.
So, tell us what should be in our day of awesome. We'll celebrate it together, and it's a great way to spend a Monday. What would you say, Tiffany? What do you got?
I think it would be my cats who curl up with me when I'm just like hanging out on the couch.
Cats who curl up with her, but she just likes hanging out on the couch.
She wasn't done. She still had more to
I couldn't
say.
wait anymore. I was too excited. Do you have something you want to nominate?
Blenders.
Yeah. Oh.
Blenders are really
give it up.
great. Yes.
No kidding.
I don't have one. Do you?
Oh, my magic bullet.
Oh, that's right.
Use it twice a day.
Okay, twice a day? What are you
Wow,
putting?
that's impressive.
Thank you. I make smoothies out of everything.
Oh, that's when you tried to put the Altoids in the smoothie.
Yeah.
And it was pretty gross.
But they have successful ones too.
But blenders are still awesome.
Something that I think is awesome that nobody thinks about is salad dressing.
Salad dressing.
Totally.
Yeah.
People don't talk dressings enough.
No, they don't. And they should.
And they're all pretty good. I mean, they all are.
Not all of them.
But pretty much all.
But the thing is, I've seen you eat salad all the time, and you never have dressing on it.
I'm trying to be a man of the people. And not a weirdo for once. Okay, I don't have dressing.
Ever.
But still, you guys, I was trying to be in the crowd.
I know, I'm
wanna
sorry.
Be a
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I'm
People,
sorry.
like-
Brant's still cool, everyone.
Okay.
Try to be normal and get exposed every time.
The Brant and Sherry Oddcast, sponsored by America's Christian Credit Union. To find out more about the show, go to BrantHansen.com.